fake stuff and said a lot of stuff that, a person that you claim that you cool with, you would never say. So that was my big issue with him. I just know, character take you a long way. And I just don't agree with the character, actions that he took.
The problem is Terence Crawford now is really only going to want a fight for big money, and there's only certain fights that can generate that kind of money.
Terence Crawford lashed out at Floyd Mayweather after sparring footage of them leaked online. He said he didn't appreciate some of Floyd's actions and expected more respect from someone who claims to be close to him. Crawford made it clear that he was disappointed and frustrated that private training moments were made public, stressing that this kind of move should never come from another champion.
I had disliked a lot of things that he was saying, and how he was acting, being that, me, I'm a real individual. I just felt like, we was all cool at one point in time. And, when the Errol Spence fight was getting mentioned and talked about and, signed, I just felt like he just did a lot of fake stuff and said a lot of stuff that, a person that you claim that you cool with, you would never say. So that was my big issue with him. I just know, character take you a long way. And I just don't agree with the character, actions that he took.
Eddie Hearn's comment that Terence Crawford should retire shows how divided the boxing world is about his future. On one side, Hearn praises Crawford's legacy, saying he has already proven himself by conquering multiple divisions, dominating top fighters, and ending debates about his place among the all-time greats. Retiring now would protect that image forever, just like some legendary champions before him. But at the same time, Hearn admits the money is hard to ignore. With Saudi investment and big cross-promotional fights shaping boxing today, Crawford could still earn record-breaking paydays, even if those fights don't add to his legacy. The pull between protecting greatness and chasing financial security is clear, and as a top promoter, Hearn knows this balance better than most.
Sorry?
Should Crawford retire?
Do you know what? Someone said the other day, and it's very true, because I actually said it about Usyk. We've got a real tendency, haven't we, to kind of try and retire people off. Do you know what I mean? Like I said with Usyk, I think now he should retire. And everyone's like, why do you want him to retire? It's like, I just think it's a great way to go out. I actually also think that Crawford could move down and win a world title at 160. And that would make him, what, 6 division champ? 5? 35, 40, 47, 54, 6 division champion. But the problem is Terence Crawford now is really only going to want a fight for big money, and there's only certain fights that can generate that kind of money. So Shakur, who's obviously very close to him, seemed to say so maybe that's it.
Floyd Schofield believes Terence Crawford should step away while he's still on top. In his eyes, Crawford has already achieved everything that defines greatness, becoming the pound-for-pound king, winning titles in multiple divisions, and proving himself against the best fighters of his era. Schofield isn't questioning Crawford's skill or legacy, but he warns that fighting on could bring unnecessary risks. If Crawford does decide to fight again, Schofield feels it should only be against young, hungry contenders like Virgil Ortiz or Frank Martin. This reflects a generational shift, where the new wave of fighters want to test if Crawford can still handle their intensity. Still, Schofield speaks with respect, making it clear that Crawford has nothing left to prove. In his view, walking away now would keep Crawford's record spotless and preserve his legacy at its very peak.
So, I feel like Crawford, he could retire if he wants. I feel like if he does get another fight, I would love to see him in there with Virgil or Jerron. I feel like those are both great fights, but those are fights we just got to see. We just got to see those fights before. I feel like those are the only 2 fights I would entertain.
Not a rematch? Maybe a rematch with Crawford and Canelo?
I feel like it wasn't close enough.
Really?
If it was close, maybe, but it just was like, it wasn't close.
The debate around Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather still fuels heated conversations among boxing fans. The dream matchup of prime Floyd versus prime Crawford dominates online discussions because both represent complete mastery of their eras. Mayweather's defensive brilliance and unmatched ring IQ made him nearly untouchable, while Crawford's adaptability and killer instinct allowed him to break down every opponent. But the reality is different. Mayweather is no longer his prime and doesn't have the reflexes or stamina he once had. A fight today would be more spectacle than a true test, which is why fans emphasize a different game argument. In the end, the fantasy of their primes clashing will likely remain just that, a dream.
So yeah, everybody. So this is a good question that the ring put out. So Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather, a fantasy fight that will never happen. Now, this is a really good question. Who will win between these two? Me personally, if this was old Floyd Mayweather, well, I'm going to say pretty boy Floyd. I'm talking about like the younger version of Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather wins. You're talking probably prime Floyd Mayweather versus prime Terence Crawford. You could see Floyd Mayweather beating Terence Crawford, but you're talking about money Floyd versus Terence Crawford. I see Terence Crawford stopping him in the later rounds due to Floyd Mayweather's passive style and Philly shell. I believe he'll melt. Terence Crawford would just break him, I think. People forget what Manny Pacquiao was able to do on Floyd Mayweather, have success with him certain parts of the fight, and people just need to see, Floyd Mayweather's, I would say, fights, later down the years. I think Crawford would just be able to break that defense. I don't know. The thing is about Terence Crawford, he has a very, very awkward style, very awkward foot movement and footwork. This is the thing. A lot of people were thinking, no, nobody beats Floyd. Or if you try to compare somebody else, no, this man will beat Floyd. Floyd would beat everybody. I don't think it's a case of Terence Crawford, everybody. I think Terence Crawford would have been the man to actually beat Floyd. Honestly, for what he did to Canelo Alvarez, he beat a 168 Canelo Alvarez. 168 Canelo Alvarez.
Analysts have pointed out that statistics and accolades, while impressive, don't always define greatness in a head-to-head sense. Floyd Mayweather's 50-0 record and his ability to stay undefeated across generations is something few fighters can ever match. Terence Crawford, however, became undisputed in multiple weight divisions, an achievement Floyd never reached in his career. The comparison is tricky because success in different eras can't be directly measured against each other. Floyd's record is filled with global names and massive pay-per-view numbers, while Crawford's legacy is built on clean, dominant wins. Analysts argue that being more accomplished on paper doesn't necessarily mean being the better fighter in the ring. It all comes down to context, style, and timing.
Floyd Mayweather versus Terence Crawford is the topic of this video, and someone posted this: number of world champion fighters beaten, Floyd with 23, Terence with only 11. But my response to this is, being more accomplished does not mean you're better than someone. By example, Canelo has 18 former world champions beaten, Terence has 11. So you could argue that Canelo's more accomplished. Meanwhile, Terence just whooped him over the course of 12 rounds over the weekend. We all saw it. Plus, more accomplished fighters lose to lesser accomplished fighters all the time, so that's a bad argument. Let's talk skill for skill. Terence Crawford has knockout power in both hands. He can switch stances. He's not a stationary target. He has good footwork. He knows how to counterpunch. He knows how to fight on the outside and on the inside. He can make it dirty. He knows how to box and he knows how to fight. There's a difference. Guys like Shakur Stevenson, for example, they know how to box. When it comes to actually getting down and dirty, the jury is still out on one Shakur Stevenson, just by example. Terence Crawford, I think, if you look at the names on Floyd's list here, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo, Marcos Maidana, Cotto, and the list goes on and on, I think Terence Crawford has a shot at beating all those guys. I don't think anybody on that list jumps off the page and goes, oh my God, I think he smokes Terence Crawford. You can't say that about anybody on any of these guys' lists and names here. So yeah, that's my take on this, man. Maybe the only guy is Gennady Golovkin. I could see Gennady Golovkin giving Terence a really hard fight, especially at that weight. But remember, Canelo lost to Gennady. Gennady shouldn't even be on this list. He's only on the list because the judges are in Canelo's back pocket. So, you know, that's a whole nother argument. But yeah, that's my take on this, guys. Skill for skill, Terence Crawford might be one of the best of all time, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to accept that, guys. It's fine. Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. Just join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
Zab Judah's opinion carries weight because he has experienced Mayweather's skill firsthand and knows what it takes to compete at the highest level. By calling Crawford the king of this era, Judah highlights how every generation has its standout fighter. He even reminded fans that Canelo Alvarez once suggested Crawford might be better than Floyd, a comment that fueled endless debates. For Judah, Crawford's dominance across multiple divisions proves his completeness as a fighter. Unlike many boxers who struggle when moving up in weight, Crawford has maintained his power, timing, and composure at every level. Judah's praise feels like a symbolic passing of the torch, acknowledging that while Floyd ruled his time, Crawford now wears a crown.
The punch can knock him out, you know what I'm saying? The size will be a factor. None of that was nothing.
How did you score it?
Huh?
How did you score the fight?
I think I gave Canelo about 3 rounds. About
Really?
3 rounds. Yeah, about 3 rounds. How did you score? You just score about, sound about fair?
What's that?
Sounds about right?
I had it closer, but there's loads of different scores.
2 rounds.
You gave him 2 rounds.
I had 2 rounds. Yeah, he ain't do anything. I gave him a possible 3 rounds. So if I play space, we get him 2 in a possible.
Where did you put him in the all-time list? 5-weight world champion,
Who?
3-weight undisputed, Terence Crawford.
Who?
Terence Crawford.
He's number 1 right now. Number 1. This is his generation. This is his timeline. He is the king right now.
Just seen in the press conference, Canelo said that Crawford's better than Mayweather. What do you think?
He's not lying. He fought him. He should know. How can somebody tell somebody that fought both of these guys, he know.
Yeah.
If anybody would know, Canelo would know.
What do you think's next for both?
I don't know.
2 early? You like to see a rematch?
Rematches always sound good. But in a rematch, it'd be the same thing.
Yeah. Cool.
Matter of fact, in a rematch, I'm predicting stoppage earlier.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Zab.
My boy's a dog.
Sure.
Trust me.
Thank you.
Crawford highlighted that Canelo's opinion matters more than most fans or analysts because he has faced both styles firsthand. He also made it clear that the situations were very different. Floyd fought Canelo when he was young, inexperienced, and still learning, while Crawford faced him as a mature champion at super middleweight. This difference is important because timing plays a huge role in boxing outcomes. For Crawford, defeating a seasoned and experienced Canelo carries more weight than Floyd's win over a younger version. By pointing this out, Crawford defends his own victory while still respecting the historical context of Mayweather's career.
He was in the ring with both of us, so a lot of people, they can say what they want, but he's actually been in the ring with both of us. One where he felt like he was at the best, and another where he felt like he was at a disadvantage when he had a rehydration clause and he was younger. So, I don't know, I don't go off of that. Floyd is the best fighter, in his era. And I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
One thing that I thought was really interesting about the fight, I always love watching you switch stances as effortlessly as you do. You didn't do that a lot in this fight. You didn't have to. Were you expecting not to have to?
No, I felt like I could have, but why do something when something else is working?
Easy answer.
Jeff Mayweather defends Floyd by reminding people that context matters when comparing careers. When Floyd fought Canelo, he was no longer in his physical prime. Instead of relying on pure speed and explosiveness, he used his experience, reflexes, and timing to control the fight. Even in decline, Floyd completely shut down a dangerous young opponent, and Jeff insists that shouldn't be overlooked. He argues it unfair to compare Floyd's version of Canelo with Crawford's, since both fights happen at very different stages in each fighter's career. Jeff's point shows how boxing history is often rewritten without fully considering the circumstances behind each fight.
Well, also if we remember, Canelo that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course. And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he still took him, into deep waters. So
yeah, what was Canelo? What, 20-something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah,
to a man that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people. But
how are you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime. You ain't in your prime when you're at 36. That's not your prime.
Did he lose? I mean,
your prime is in your 20s.
It's different for different people.
Yeah, okay. Well, sure, and that's why Canelo is saying what he's saying.
But
want to make himself look like he did something great.
At the end of the day, the Floyd versus Crawford debate isn't just about stats or resumes. It's about eras, styles, and the legends each man built in his own time. One ruled the sport with perfection. The other dominates with destruction. But the real question is, whose crown shines brighter in your eyes? Drop your take in the comments. And don't forget to share, and subscribe for more deep dives into boxing's biggest debates.